Welcome to Create, where minds come together to collaborate on thoughts, ideas, and the creative process that makes the world run. My name is Micheal A.J. Randolph. I am your host. Create is a product of the College of Letters, Arts, and Social Sciences in School of Communication, and School of Communication is housed in the Institute for Creative and Collaborative Arts. And with me today is the director of the Institution for Creative and Collaborative Arts, Professor Kumoji-Ankrah. She was also my boss, so it's like, if I'm going to ask probing questions, I want to make sure that everybody knows I'm not being easy because she has the power to hire or fire me. I'm only joking. Ida, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here with you.
Well, let's talk about the Institute and talk about you in general. Tell me about the formation of the Institute. What brought it about, and what are the different entities under the Institute?
All right, so the Institute for Creative and Collaborative Arts was founded by Provost Ziegler, and the whole concept for the institute was to bring together the arts and the performing arts as well. So, as we all know, most of the time in the arts, we are usually silos and they don't see the team, the collaborative nature of how the arts works. So I'll use an example. For example, if a movie is created or even an animation is created, we need an artist, we need music for scores, we need communication, video production. We need the different areas who come together to create the team to create that movie. So looking at that, comparing that to the Institute, I believe the Institute gives us, a primary housing to bring together all those areas to create one unified team where our students, our prospective students, our students that are here, would see how the industry actually works when they graduate and leave, because they'll have that experience in whilst they pursuing their degree at ICCA, because that is, they see, the student a student in music can work with a student in art, and a student in art can work with a student in communication, or they can all work together collaborative to create a work of art. So, for example, like in art works with orchestra to come up with posters, the design posters, for that. So all this is a form of training that would put together our students and also our faculty to be able to, work together and then bring, something much more stronger and powerful, where the arts can be stronger, because it needs to be. It's something that a lot of people do not see the arts. You play a huge role, and bringing all these units together gives us the sense of it. And honestly, the Institute for Creative Art is it's very unique, because it's actually the only. EKU has the only one that has the communication and in art and design and then music together in housing in a unique way as this.
At the time of this tape, we're going to see a little bit of that collaboration coming up next month in April, when during First Amendment Week, we're going to have the music department do some original scores and protest songs as part of, I guess, our history of trying to be able to defend the rights for free speech, free expression, etc. So, but what is it that is so unique about what we do compared to the School of Business or philosophy or religion or STEM, all these things like that, that makes this a challenge as well as a successful venture?
I think what we do that is distinct is we have, for me, I think the arts has been put under the umbrella of liberal arts, whereby you have people, assuming that, you can just draw, you can just take a video or picture. They don't see the significance of what the arts are. And what we do unique is most of the time people don't understand the amount of work, the hands-on experience that you need to actually be trained to do this. And people see final products, but they don't understand how that got to be made. So, for example, you have, people sitting, I'll still use the movies because I think that brings a much more understanding because that's people go to the movies, they sit and watch it, and then the assumption is, oh, who they don't understand like the amount of the different level of expertise that goes in it. You have, like I said, you have the score which takes months, years to write. You have, the artists who have to come up with, the entire storyboard and do the sketches and stuff. And so they can tie that into the various areas that, these are the unique skills that you need to be able to do this. To do this work, and you need all these parts of it to be able to come up with one product. So what we do unique is we have the skills of being able to, we're able to, learn and, apply that to, what we do, the product itself. And one of the interesting thing is with our skills stems from, we have like different understanding of how to lead different things. So we apply different emotions to different things. And that's something that most of that we don't talk about. That for the arts, so music, communication, art and design, we have the ability to be able to channel our different emotions to apply to different things, which most disciplines do not. They have it, but they don't. We apply it, and so we can meet with somebody and talk to them and be able to. We have the creative skills to, be able to look at things in a different form. We also have critical skills, but the creative skills make you think outside the box. And these are the skills that we bring in, whereby we are able to, present something in different ways or a certain way that different audiences can be able to apply to it to work with. So that's some of the unique things that we have in the arts.
Do you think, especially, and we get into politics and the political climates and stuff like that, and the challenges in general in education, do you feel that people do not appreciate the challenges and skills and talents it takes to put together a musical score? The talent and skills it takes together to come up with some creative designs and arts and graphics. The challenge it takes to put together sequence in movies or videos and things like that. It's not, I'll call it the YouTubing of America. Anybody thinks they can stick a phone in somebody's face and boom, that makes art, or that makes, you the next Steven Spielberg or whatever. And because of that, I feel at times that people who are outside the education field and are looking down and are making policies saying, well, this is not going to help you get a job. This is not going to help you think. This is not outcome based. I'm learning. We need to be in business. We need to be in. And there's nothing. I'm not saying anything against business majors or accounting majors or political science majors or whatever, but it always seems that whether you talk about elementary, middle, or higher education, the arts always seems to be the first thing that people talk about aren't needed anymore.
In all honesty, I think what I would say with that is I think the arts has to be introduced in the culture. We have to live with it. And I know that is, when somebody's doing a wedding, they'll call somebody to perform. They don't. It's become a thing, but I think it should start from. I'll give you an example, like in outside of the U.S. I'll use me. I'm a proud African, and I grew up in Ghana and came to the United States. Arts and culture was part of growing up. It was something that I didn't have to think about. I went to. It was part of the culture, and I think one of the things that I think the difference is I think if that also become more part of the culture. I know it is, but how much effort, or how would I say that, like how much significance is it put on for every student it's required to visit a museum, visit a performance. It being part of the curriculum to make it seem okay, like to make it like that is how it's supposed to be. Training them from the beginning helps, helps people understand it. But if it becomes, part of, I know one of the terms I've heard is the quality of life. So that's what the arts are for, with that. And yes, it's for that, but however, how does it also play in the life of everybody? How do we see, it takes time, like you're saying, to produce a movie, to do anything, it takes a lot of time, and that has to be recognized. I know there is, I always tell, my students when I taught design, was, anybody can learn how to use a program, but the difference between graphic designer and everybody else is the ability to be able to identify, use the tools to do more than what it's meant for, to do something different that, somebody else cannot do. So, I think it's the idea of education and being able to, we need to advocate, for us to be, ourselves have to advocate for, for our areas to be, to be looked as, more important, to be able to use the skills that we have and the skills that we teach to be able to educate our prospective students, like people who think we just do, that this is the significance. And I think a lot of people do not know, the different skills that you can get into different jobs or careers. And that's one of the things about the arts, that we are not good with selling what we do and transforming it into, a career that people can do. Because, for a while, like a long time, and it's like, if you do music or you do art, you live in a basement, because that is being the cliche. That
you're a hippie who's not making any money.
Yeah,
you're
you live in
waiting
a
tables.
basement. Yeah, or you have to die. If an artist, you have to die before you become famous, because you look at all the famous artists, but that is not true. And we need to change that language. And, to do that, we have to actually, apply the skills to careers that parents can see, students can see that, oh, if I become, I'll use the painter, because if I become a painter, I'm not just going to be just painting. I can use that skill, I can be able to use it to find a job in, the movie industry, whereby you're part of the storyboard. You're using that skill to do that, because without a storyboard, nothing happens. So we should be able to tell those stories and make it applicable to, our students to understand that, and parents and everybody else to understand that, yes, there are careers that are, there are some that are paying more than lawyers and doctors. I mean, that's true. They are doing that. But we don't tell our story, and I think we have to do that for people to understand what we do.
I mean, you're walking into the movie theater, you see all those storyboards out there and promoting movies that are playing, ones that are coming.
Yes.
Somebody has to design them and put them together.
And in the music, someone has to write the score. It takes years, and then, it takes months and years time. And then also, the movie production itself, it takes years. I mean, so it's a lot of time and energy. And, I know people say, yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's the same. You expect, a doctor to be qualified in what they do. So it's, the movie you're watching, all those people have expertise and they have to be good at it. So
we're in the School of Communication, obviously, or I am. But what is it about us in the arts, but communication, arts, and music, even though we're putting stuff out there for people to consume, why are we so bad, in your opinion, at selling ourselves and telling the stories about who we are, why, a career or a major with us is important, and why the arts in general are so important? Why are we so bad at doing that?
I think we want our work to speak for us. But we are in times that, the music will not speak. Sometimes you have to sell your work, like market, like be able to, let people see, the work as it is. We, so most of the time in the arts, you are commissioned to do something. We expect whoever commissioned you to push the work forward. And I think we spend so much time creating the work that we let go of being able to push it and say, here, this is the work and this is what it's supposed to do. But I think if we do, we create, and then we also, add more time to be able to push, what we are doing. That would help a lot. That would change our stories. We have to be comfortable in, talking about our work. And I know, artists, we are all trained, to critique our work, evaluate the work, but we also have to be able to go out there and then talk about it and, say this is, what we do and this is what it can, because if we don't do that, because most of the other disciplines, it's, you think about somebody getting a business degree, they're like, okay, you're a business, the assumption is there, and then a doctor, it's a doctor, they know what they do, but when it comes to our field, it's broad. We have unique skills. So there's, all the notes, like you become an artist or you become a journalist or you become a musician, but there are different forms of that we have to be able to sell.
Is it kind of like a thing where we feel like, and I don't want to pick on us, but it's like we're so high-minded. How dare we have to come to the idea of being salespeople? It's like, no, the art should speak for itself, and it's like you guys should be proud, and we are proud of our work.
Yes,
and these other people should be proud of what we're doing too, rather than saying, all right, sometimes we have to get our hands dirty a little bit to promote what we're doing.
And I know we do. We do now, but I think higher education has changed so much. It's not the same, and now I know different expectations come in. If a parent, if a prospectus comes in and wants to pursue the areas, the first thing that a parent wants to see is their child getting a job and moving forward. And for a long time we haven't done that, but I think we're trying to begin to do that. We really need to associate our skills and our degrees to careers and explaining to prospective students and everybody else, because I think that would change what we do. And to apply to careers, we need to show examples, who or what or why are they doing this, and this is to relate to our prospective students, so they see, oh, if I pursue this career, I can become this, and that. So.
How good have we been at tapping into alumni who have graduated from our different fields and are doing the work and are, and they don't have to necessarily be rich or prosperous, but are doing well, are showing what a degree in music or art or communication can do for them, and using them as our sounding boards, not just for prospective students, but just in general. I'm sure you see it whenever you're driving past the football stadium.
Yes.
They got the big, long banners hanging down of our football players. Or outside Alumni Coliseum, you see the banners of the female and male basketball players. Are we putting enough banners up around to let people, when they drive through campus, see some of our success stories?
That's a great idea. We are, but we are doing it through different forms. So, we have performances in the Center for the Arts, the Gifford Theater. We have the Giles Gallery, to show the work. And then also we have the podcast that we are on to, but yeah, I think we can do more. We are doing, but I think we can do more to, be more out there. Like you're saying, a good example is, billboards. We can, we can do more, by doing that. I think there are great opportunities to explore those. Yeah.
What about the challenge of AI? We're seeing it more and more. I was at a conference 2 years ago in Nashville, the IRE, and there were a number of different sessions, and a number of them focused on the fact that AI now is challenging the graphic arts and the arts in general, because people are now just plugging into some program and they're creating all these different things. And unfortunately, even here on the journalism communication side, students And I understand if they want to get, they want to improve their grammar and their writing, but now they're doing Chat GPT for all of their assignments. And they're not really using the critical skills or writing that they need to in order to make themselves move forward. What challenge are you hearing from all of us here in the Institute as far as like how do we deal with the issues around AI?
I think AI is like I would say, AI is not going anywhere. I was thinking because it's not. It's the same, and I think for the arts, I think to help us, I think one of the things that we need to find ways to work with it where it benefits us instead of looking at it as you put something in and it generates the image and or the text and it comes back. I think the question is how do we use AI to help with productivity instead of, I know if you don't know how to use it well, you put it in and it generates an image. And I think for us, we know the differences. I always say I know AI has made, people they go in, put it in, it comes out with a logo, and then they use it. But in all honesty, I think companies, or I think, other firms, agencies who really want a quality product would go back to the original roots of being able to, get somebody to do the sketches and and the person can use, AI, but they've already developed the idea. So AI is just helping them, complete the work or clean it up. It's kind of like, the software programs you use. I always think AI start is similar. How do you use the software to benefit what you're doing? Not letting the software, make you do the work. Like, how do you use the tool effectively? So I think we have to learn how to use AI effectively instead of challenging the AI that it's ruining things. If we know how to use it well with what we are doing, I think it will be a benefit to the arts, instead of like the duplication it's making. So I think we have to find ways to use the tool well and impact that on our students in our field to be able to use it well. Otherwise, if you're just using the program as it is, that makes it very difficult. And I'll go back to what I said prior, where I said, the difference between, I always tell my students when I taught design is, the difference between a designer with anybody on the street is anybody can use software. But the difference is how do you use that tool to make your work different from the regular one outside. I think if we have the same concept for the AI, we'll be able to, use it to our benefits than what it's supposed to be for.
Do you think, though, that hurts thinking about recruiting students to come into, the arts in general, whether it be journalism, communication, or music or whatever? Do you think that the AI hurts because they may be hearing out there, well, you guys are going to not be needed anymore because in a few years we'll have everything done by computers, so you're going to be out of a job, so we don't need you guys. I can get some 13-year-old who's been playing on their laptops all the time to come in, punch a couple of buttons, and boom, they've got what we need.
I think there are positive and negative part with the whole AI, which will generate when it comes. Everybody makes starts coming up with what they think it's supposed to be, and quite honestly, there are companies that have let go of their people because AI it cuts productivity time. They don't have to hire somebody. Even the grocery stores now, there's just a machine sitting there and you check in and then check out. But I think honestly, I do not believe AI can wipe the arts away because somebody puts the information in. And if you put the information in, there's so much it can produce to a point. And I would say, you cannot stop somebody's creativity with machine. It just, there is a limit where AI can do so much. And then, for humans, we don't have a limit. It's abundant. So it's going to be a challenge to all of a sudden someone decides that, oh, okay, because of AI, there'll be no, musicians, there'll be no artists. You can put something in to write you a song. Like that's, or create a video, which it is. But somebody has to put in what they need to do that. So the machine cannot unilaterally come do that. So I think it's going to be a hard sell for, to say that it's going to kill everything, and the only people who will be left is, the people who don't need, like AI doesn't affect the industry. It does. It affects all industries. Even the doctors, they have to. I know people who use it.
Yes.
So it's something that is going to affect, all our industries. So I think we have to use it to benefit us instead of finding ways to get it to work, instead of just accepting that it's going to kill jobs and sell it to our students that it's not going to happen, because and that's when our hands-on come into play. Do you know something interesting? Since AI came, there are more people reverting back to journaling, to writing. Like they've actually, like, it's reverted back to people using less of like they are now going back to what before computer came in. They are doing more of the sketches.
Right.
Because I see our students, they do more, of the hands-on, and this is where we will shine, because we have the skill that AI can do it to a limit, to a point, and and that's it. It can be done. There are certain things that you can put in a computer. It has to be done by the human mind. So,
as we continue to deal with the advancing of technology, how do you what's your vision for the Institute for how we merge all these things together? Because I've said this before. One of the challenges I felt before AI became this big thing was back in the early 2000s, when they went to this whole thing about standardized testing. It's like, because they wanted to get the standards up, et cetera. And it's a noble thing, but I think No Child Left Behind, what it did was it started teaching students how to take tests and not how to think critically, not how to evaluate things, not how to, what's the process to get to the answer. And now it almost seems sometimes that AI is also pushing against the idea of critical thinking, because I'll plug in a few things and boom, I'll get the answer. But rather than the creative process of getting to the answer, the critical thinking of going from A to B to C to D. So how do you think the Institute can attack that as far as helping the critical process while mixing in all the challenges that technology is bringing?
I think the Institute, in all honesty, I think the Institute, we still have to get to the point where we want AI to, like, we use AI to do, students enter in the information and let AI, they still have to think to the point where they enter that information. And I think, for the Institute, I think I see, I see our faculty, I know not all our faculty would, there are people who are for or not, and that's genuine. They need to look at, but, I see, eventually, I know as AI is not going anywhere, so as we go forward, honestly, I see it being used more, because then people will have a more understanding of, the tools and how it can be used, and educating our students on how that can be used better, instead of just copying and pasting and getting product. How can you use it to serve the purposes that you do? And so I think as we move forward, the use of AI we'll understand it much more on how to use it, where we'll be able to educate our students to use it better. I think right now it's in, and there are so many apps. It's like the overpopulated apps. For AI, you can free, and people are putting in and learning, and students are just doing. But I think for the Institute, I think if we, like I said, if we take it and then learn how to use it, then we can educate our students to use it properly, like to use it, not just copy and paste and generating, but how can you use it to produce something whilst maintaining your own idea and concept. I think we have to learn that, as faculty, or as, to be able to educate our students to use it wisely. Instead of, some will say no, some will say, it's attacking, but at this point we don't have a choice. It's not going to go anywhere. So we must well, look at it and learn it well so we can use it to help the field. Because there are every field is using it. And in the arts, it's affecting us, but we can fighting it. So we're like trying to say, no, we are not using it, we'll fall behind. We have to figure out a way to, use it to benefit us instead of just, being negative. So I see it being used more, but in a better way than what it's used now. Because by then we understand it and we know how it's utilized. And then our fields will also adapt to, there'll be better programs that could help us, generate, through that. And it's similar. It's like how software programs developed.
Right.
Remember PageMaker a long time? Now we have,
Cobalt and all that stuff. It's like
so I think as we go forward, there'll be better, programs, AI programs that we'll be able to trust. It's okay. This is beneficial to what we do, and it's going to help us though. Productivity, but we can't forget about the negative part of it. Something has to go,
right.
Through that, and it's part of the change. I think it's part of change of industrialization, and what we have to go with time. So,
and I'm glad to hear you say it because I know I'm glad to hear your calming voice because there are people who are afraid out there. There are people who are, but I think hearing you and saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to close our eyes to what's going on, but we are still the masters of our fate.
Yes,
and we can make a difference, and we can incorporate these new tools and still move forward. Yeah. And the Institute, of course, is it's still relatively young.
Yes.
What has been the challenge over these 3 or 4 years in getting us all? It's not that we were stuck in our silos, but we still weren't playing well in the sandbox. How is the progress going? How's the progress going in getting us to do more collaboration, like the whole idea the Institute was set up for?
I think, for every, if we start in everything with different entities and disciplines and understanding, it's a challenge. I'll be honest, with that. And we are all used to what we know, our disciplines. This is how we do it. And I think for the past 3 years, we've been trying to come together to understand what each discipline does, and I think last fall, our retreats were able to generate ideas together. And I think that, how can we work together collaboratively? And honestly, the ideas that were generated, one of the ideas was to create. It was at the create, and I see more, and then the kaleidoscope. I see more of our faculty now, working from different areas together. They're producing work, because now, we've gotten to know each other. We are moving ahead and understanding what our areas can do and support each other and how we can come together, and then introducing our students into the collaboration. So I think that also helps. But the beginning, we're trying to know each other, what we do, how is it going to work with different things. But as we're moving along, now we have, faculty are getting to understand what the Institute is, I hope. How hard that is, because I don't want to be institute, and I see it through the collaboration of the different projects that are happening, and then the different and then our staff are also trying to work together as well, with that. So I'll say right now, as we are moving forward, in all honesty, I think it's getting better. I see more of faculty students that are from different areas, work together. And as we move forward, eventually I want to see more whereby we'll get to a point that, we might even have a curriculum. Who knows, a degree can stem out of that. We'll see. Multidisciplinary degree with, generating with all the 3 areas to see how that, grows and everything. So I honestly see good things for the institute. I really, really do. I think we have an opportunity to tell our story and change the way the arts are. This is an opportunity for us to do that. We have to really take hold of it and, tell our story.
All right. Dream big.
Yes, dream big.
All right. They say, shoot for the moon, because even if you don't make it, you land in the stars. Dream big.
Yes.
It's 2025 right now.
Yes.
Let's project out another 2 more years, 2027 or even 2028. What would you like to see, a thought, an idea, or a challenge you'd like Institute to meet in these couple of years? Or even a big project you'd like to see accomplished?
I think one of the big projects I want to see is the Institute being able to get to a point where we can have, we started like next year, spring 2025, we're going to have a gala event where we have sponsors and stuff. I want to see the Institute, get
this
to
spring 2025 or
no,
2026?
next spring 2026.
Okay.
Yeah, 2026. We're planning, and that's stemmed from ideas we generated from the gala event where we'll have music, communication, and art and design come together to create a gala event. In that, those are the big projects I want to see, whereby we are working together to support the arts, support ourselves, and generate funding. I want to see us at a point where we have. We are able to have funding to do more bigger projects, resource, like more funding money. What do you need to do those? And I think my dream, my long-term dream to see, a building for the Institute. It's interesting when,
Yes.
when I see a building, it will be to have all of us housed in one unit. I think that would be amazing to see that. That way we see each other. Currently we are in different buildings. So but
Right.
I think we need to be in one building where, all our students will actually see what we are doing together. So that's, so who knows, once we start our fundraising, we'll be lucky to have a big donation for that. But that's a dream, and I don't think that, I'll let go of that. I know it will happen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned the dirty F word, the funding.
Funding is
What keeps you up at night when you're thinking about budgets and the universities dealing with budget crunches? We have no idea what the state's going to do or the federal government's going to do as far as funding and money is concerned. What have you seen over the last few years as far as trying to make sure the Institute, as best you can, stays whole, as far as, because each department, I realize, has its own individual challenges with the budget. But I mean, we still operating under the Institute, and you've got to try to juggle all these 3 different areas and make sure that everybody is doing well. And I want to thank you for helping support my professional development money. But I mean, we all know that's a challenge.
Yes, it is. And I think as we go forward, I know our Dean Cannon, currently, for example, with funding, she also supports, believes in the Institute so much and supports us with funding for the Institute as well. So there are, projects that if, we have, we can seek funding to support that as well. But also for the Institute, if we have events, our funding comes from all the 3 areas. So you're able to, focus on the projects that, will bring us more significant, that will have an impact on all of us and benefit, our students and all of us in there. But it is a challenge with, the budget situation, as, everyone is going through it. But I think what we can do is, how do we use the funding that we have now to work with what we are pursuing, and finding ways to look for funding it's what we have to do to support what we have, because we can just sit and wait for money from the institution. If we can find different ways to get funding on our own, whereby we have that support, that would be awesome. And I think that's one of the biggest goals that myself and the dean has been working on to development and getting funding, so we can do more bigger events and stuff. Yeah.
Recruiting. How are we doing, and what can we, as people who have a stake in this, and I know faculty members don't like the idea, just like we don't like being salespeople for our work. We sometimes feel uncomfortable that we have to be the ones who are going out there and talking to students, saying, here is why you need to come here. This is what we can do for you. Convincing parents that, Eastern Kentucky University is a place of opportunity for them, that they're going to be able to be successful in this specific area.
So, I think for recruiting, we are in the institute. I think each of us are, like, for example, like music does a good job. They go in the schools, to recruit, and that's what they really pull that on. I think each discipline does it in different forms, with that. And I think for the institute, our strength is bringing the students into our spaces, because it's not just a classroom. Like, they have to see what you are doing to understand that this is what it's supposed to be. So as we are moving forward, I see more of that happening. So like the Open Studio Day, we have communication is included, and then we now have recruiting. We have an outreach coordinator for the institute now, who is going to also focus on that a lot. So we're going to see more, of ideas and goals. That how are we going to, what are some more of the ideas that we can do to, recruit more, and how can we recruit as an institute instead of what we do differently. Like, how can the institute, recruit as a whole, where the students understand the different areas, as well. So I know recruitment is a huge thing, but we all are involved with that, and I think we're going to push forward more. So all of us continue to do it. It's not just one person, who is responsible for that, and then we just have to work on it and be also like more intentional, doing that. What else can we do apart from, Open Studio Day, or bringing the students in? Are there, like, going into classrooms? Maybe it's time that, the other units do that as well. That's a different form of that too. So we have to learn from each other and being able to, bring those in.
We talked about AI before, but it's a time to maybe do some old school, where we actually go out to college fairs in different areas, and we set up our table and our booth, and we show our wares. I don't even know if they do those things anymore.
They do, actually. This summer they do. They do the college fairs. I know in the summer. I know there's one for the arts. I think the governor's arts or something. In the summer they do the college fairs, and I know music. We have some faculty in music who've attended, the college fairs in the summer. And this summer there is one, going on, where the institute will be happy to pay for, so we can go recruit. But we can look for more, like the old school. Maybe it's time we revert that and go back and then start actually going in and recruiting.
Well, all right, I'll put myself, and it's now on tape. I would be glad to be part of that outreach. I enjoy going out to those fairs.
That's good.
We can show off our wares, what we've done. We can, we've obviously got the technology now to show here's what our students are doing. We've even got the alumni to show how they've been successful, at least in our area, to show off our wares. But I imagine this where we could probably incorporate music and arts also in that. So.
Yeah, and alumni. And our alumni recruit. There's something that we don't talk about, but our alumni do as well. And, it's time to bring them in, like to, focus on them. But they do, I believe they also recruit for us. And bringing them in, they come in, volunteer to have talks and speak with students and stuff. So that is that's a good thing, yeah.
Let's talk about your education journey here.
Okay.
Obviously you're from Ghana, as you said, but Walk us through how you got from Ghana to Richmond, Kentucky.
Okay, I did I'll say I'll transfer into school, and so high school. I did high school all the way to Ghana, in Ghana, and I did my undergraduate. I came to the U.S. for my undergraduate degree and graduate degree. So I did my undergraduate degree at the University of St. Catherine's in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minneapolis. I came in and I did 4 years, and I pursued a BA in studio art.
What made you want to do that as a major? And I've talked with another professor, one of the earlier ones. It seems like Minnesota, it seems to be a hotbed for people, who want to get degrees and study in the arts. It's like it's something amazing going on up there.
Yeah, so I did. I mean, for me, I think I've always, design has been something that, even when I was in high school, I've been something that I want to do. And the way I see design for me was the ability to think differently, to think in different ways. You can do multiple thinking at the same time, and being able to, I always say, designing makes you, reinventing somebody, reinventing a new thing. And so it gives you that opportunity to do that. So I knew that's what I wanted to pursue. So before I came in, and I'll say my education through high school was a British education. So I have the British education whereby you go through primary school, secondary school, and then went to boarding school, and then sixth form. So by the time you get to the sixth form, it's equivalent to high school. But you have 1 year outside of it whereby you have the opportunity to explore. And so by the time you get to college, you know exactly what you want to do. So you don't have to, So when I came in, I knew I wanted to be a designer. So I did a BA in studio arts. And then I went to graduate school in the University of Minnesota for graphic design, for that program. And I chose University of Minnesota, that particular program, because there was a typographer in that school, Robert Appleton. Currently, he's in Canada. And my journey through design, it was a fantastic program. I met different, I learned different things, but he was Scottish, so he was able to, his type was, he pushed you to a level that made you think outside, you don't have a choice. You have to think outside the box with that. So that is, I always go back to that. And, for myself, my own thinking, I always I'm like, no, this is not enough. You can do something different, with that. So through that, that's how I became a graphic designer.
Do you think his being Scottish, clicked with your background? You say that, growing up in Ghana, you learned in the British form of education. So I'd imagine that, if he was really from Scotland, he probably come through some of the same disciplines you did, before coming to the United States.
No, I think I researched him. I think I love his use of type. And, he was Bob was honest, strict, and to the point. And I'm very direct. I love being directness. I love, you have to be direct with me. So I think it stems from that, and I knew he was going to push you to do. He will not settle. That's what I really admired about that, because I don't like settling. What can you do? Because there's always a solution to any problem. Even if it's not a good solution, you have to come up with one. So, but I love Bob's, push to that. I really do. With that, it's even transferred through my own thesis when I worked with him. So I think that was, the reason why, I chose him. And then when I completed my grad school, because I pursued internships, I did an internship. And then once I completed the internship, I applied to become a professor, an assistant professor. And I looked at an EKU. I picked EKU because EKU, when I came then, the curriculum, we had somebody retiring, Betsy retiring, and I saw it as an opportunity to reinvent the program. I didn't want to go to somewhere that's already established. What's the fun in that? So so when I came, Betsy was retiring, so I had an opportunity to reinvent the program, to bring it to, the current state, like how it's going to go as we move forward and stuff. So, and then also, I love, I came to Kentucky. I love Kentucky. It's warmer. It's warmer than Minnesota. Minnesota had to run out, yeah. And so it's warm, but I love VKU. It's a beautiful campus. Students, people are direct. If they don't like you, they'll tell you. Or they would, unlike, Minnesota is nice. They're very nice. I always say Minnesota nice.
Sometimes too polite, huh?
Too polite, yeah. But, in Kentucky, they're polite, but if, they'll tell you. Or you still know, and stuff. So I think I like that. I like being, transparent and being, open out there. And so I pursued, I got a job as an assistant professor, tenure track in graphic design. And so I came to Kentucky in 2005. And since then, I've been here since.
And you even, while you were, teaching, went
Yes.
on and got your MBA here, too.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
So-
I was teaching, yeah. So I pursued my MBA it's 2 years now. I finished two years ago. I completed 2 years ago. And it's so interesting. I think, for me, I pursued the MBA because I wanted to, I'm in administration, if I'm going to learn how to, lead, and I know how to lead, but if I'm going to learn more and understand the business and everything, I must well educate myself and get a degree and apply that skill to what I'm doing. And also, actually, during my experience doing the MBA, it's, believe it or not, it helped me because that was when we started the institute, and that was my getaway. So it made me transform into a student. Like I think that was like how people are like, how do you distress? When I pursued the MBA, it made me distress. Believe it or not. When I said that, people laugh. I'm like, yes, it did actually, because I transformed to somebody else. I was now the student that had to do the assignment. So that was relieving to me because somebody is also telling me what to do.
Like,
so I think,
you're going back to years. Oh yeah, I remember this now.
Yeah, so like it helped me, helped me de-stress during the time, the institute was forming, and then so it actually helped me. So I was self-learning and everything. So yeah. It helped me do that, and I've learned a lot through that, and I've applied all those skills to that. Yes, I did. Yeah.
Well, as I said, we what I love about being institute here, it's been bumpy, but we're going up. We're doing better.
Yes, we are.
We still know we've got a long way to go.
Yes.
And I don't think, especially the way education is being battered left and right, we're never going to be able to sit back on our laurels and say, hey, look at all the things that we've done.
Yeah, we have to.
The challenge will continue to make us try to be a little bit better.
Yes, and we will do it. I know, it takes time, and, the institute it's big. We have different units, and it will take time to get there, but we will get there, I know. In the span of the 3 years, this is our 4th year, we've done a lot. We've done, I look at, I do the annual, report, and I'm like, wow, this is we've done a lot. It's just we don't, but we are going to do more. We're going to do that. We're going to do more, and I know we'll get more funding to do exciting projects. I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
I think, we've got the divisions in here that we should be able to blow our own horns pretty successfully through the arts and music, through communication. So if anybody can sell us ourselves, we can. And so.
Yes, we can. And we will. We are doing it, actually, and we'll continue to do it, yeah. And we will.
Well, Ida, thank you for hanging out with us here on Create. My name is Micheal A.J. Randolph, and I've had the honor and privilege of talking with the director of ICCA, Ida Kumoji-Ankrah.
Yes. Yes.
And Create is a project of ICCA, which is the Institute for Creative and Collaborative Arts, part of the College of Letters, Arts, and Social Sciences in the School of Communication here at Eastern Kentucky University. And I want to thank our executive producer, Abby Powers, who always keeps me in line and makes sure I and my guests look good. Thank you for tuning in to Create, and you guys have a great day.